What's going on, guys? Since we're on our Trump is bad train, I might as well talk about the impending civil war that's coming to this country that everybody's been talking about since the Civil War movie dropped, honestly. No, even before that, people have been talking about the country being divided. I mean, since 2016, since Trump entered, I think that really exposed a lot of people's politics. And even more so now, I think that there's more of a division going on than ever before. And it's not even something that can be healed with Trump out of office. As we've seen, with Trump out of office and Joe Biden in office, the political landscape has stayed the same. It seems that hate is more common now than actual political understanding or conversation in the American government. And I hate to be like a black pill doomer on this one, but if I had to bet on something, I don't think the American empire is going to last, unfortunately, to 2100. That's just a guess. Maybe not in the way it looks now. I think it'll be a reformed government. There will probably be some sort of internal domestic conflict, kind of well overdue for it in the grand scheme of things. And I think that most likely what's going to happen is there's going to be some sort of, similar to a George Floyd moment, there's always this ignition, like a powder keg. As long as there's enough events surrounding a certain period of time, and then there's an ignition that doesn't even have to mean anything. It doesn't have to be something super meaningful as like, this is the reason that everything's been torn down. George Floyd, for instance, everybody knew about police brutality. Everybody knows that like the police have a monopoly on violence when it comes to arresting people, and that was just more or less a powder keg. It wasn't really the person, because that guy did a lot of bad things. He was like a racist and also porn star, which isn't, that's fine. The second part, not the first part. Anyways, the odds of there being some sort of political restructuring in the United States are pretty high, I would say. And that's more or less because of foreign influence. And for example, APAC, they have other countries' interests in mind, and that ends up tearing the country apart, especially when you're able to lobby a form of corruption and pay off other senators and politicians to vote a certain way that supports your country. You're basically siphoning money out of one country into another, and it really just shows where your allegiances lie. These sort of pacts should be illegal. Any sort of foreign agents, I guess you would call, they need to be absolutely completely removed from U.S. politics. And again, like I've said before, lobbying needs to go. Probably the last real form of corruption in the United States government needs to go immediately. Again, with all that being said, will Trump be the president where this political restructuring occurs? Honestly, don't know. The odds are there. It's not zero. Probably maybe 10%, 5%, 10%, 6 or 7%, some might say. Honestly, it's really just what he does that's going to determine that. And I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I'm just trying to be like a realist. This will also show the integrity of America as it stands. If Trump was to outright say that he's staying for a third term, who will stand up and prevent him from doing so because it's against the Constitution? Who will follow the Constitution? Who is an American, a true patriot? That is soon to be determined. Well, that's implying that he's going to do that. Who knows what he's going to do? Like I said yesterday, who the hell knows what's going on? The Trump campaign seems to do things off a whim sometimes and just sort of test the waters to see what people are thinking, warm people up to certain ideas. And I think that that is one of them for sure. I think that they've definitely discussed it at some point, what they can do, and they're definitely exploring options, or have, when it comes to that stuff. A lot of it, smoke and mirrors. We'll see what happens. Wait for the actionable measure. You'll know it when you see it. You'll be like, holy shit, did that actually happen? Or, whoa, this is very odd and probably should be illegal. And it probably is. The thing is, though, when it comes to a lot of these sort of dictatorships without being a dictatorship, in Russia, for example, a democracy, but Putin's president for life scenario, the reason for all of this is often people like Putin and, for example, like Trump, and I'm not making a direct comparison, but I am, they're able to find a clever excuse, a somewhat believable enough half-truth to justify something that they're doing as illegal, and it could be a minor law that they're breaking. They'll use that and they'll build it until they're able to consolidate power that way, if that makes sense. Probably an even better way to explain it, for example, with the invasion in Ukraine, say it's under the guise of denazification. It's true that Ukraine does have a Nazi problem, but it's not as rampant as I need to invade the country. But that is a clever excuse to semi-legitimize your actions. Is when you're making a shady move, something that's not clear-cut, it's very gray. And the specific Russia-Ukrainian invasion, he needed a lot of those to sort of justify his actions there, and there were a lot more. He had like NATO as one of them. They're all quasi-legitimate, like they all do hold some weight, but they're not enough to actually justify that. And that's what I'm getting at, is there's going to be some sort of reason for that. Trump's going to make an action. There's going to be an excuse. It's going to suck. There's no way it's going to justify that whatsoever. And that's always how it is. There's no real justification for it. It's just good enough so that gets enough people to believe that this is okay. And that's all they need. That's all you need, is a good enough reason. It doesn't even have to be a good reason. It's just a reason that's good enough for people to say, you know what? It's not that bad, guys, right? And that's how you get people to believe what you're doing is right and you're not breaking the law. That's the unfortunate truth. I hate to make a direct comparison between Putin and Donald Trump, but Putin in particular has a focus on corruption in his government that is not as rampant in the United States. Like, it's corrupt down to the local level, which that's how you know there's real corruption, is when even on the local level, it's corrupt. That's how you know your your country's fucked. Anyways, it's more or less what I wanted to get at today, guys. See you in the next one.